Welcome. Drink Less, Feel Fresh family, listeners, viewers. Tommy Cartwright here, founder of Drink Less, Feel Fresh with Natty Hodges. Nat, how you going?
Bloody well, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, mate. I'm very well. Hey, looking forward to
Hold
diving
up
into
on the
this.
sunny coast. It is cold.
It's cold?
It's cold. It's freezing.
That's not good because one of our Drink Less, Feel Fresh members all the way from over in Ohio, United States, has come over to visit. So you got to give it better.
Yeah.
You got to give it better weather than that. Mate, looking forward to diving into our short podcast today, short and sharp podcast.
Let's do it.
And we're diving into the correlation between lack of potential leading to self-sabotaging behaviors, or I like to call it, tapping into your potential will resolve, heal, and look after all of your
It's one of my favorite topics.
self-sabotaging behaviors. Now, I'm going to share a couple of things, Nat, and then I want you to jump in and just share a couple of insights, if that's okay with our viewers.
Yeah, of course.
One of the things that we've seen between, I don't know, would you say 99 or even 100% of our clients is that when they come to us, they want to share with us how they have a problem with, let's say, alcohol and drinking. And then during the same conversation, they more often than not, you hear something like this. I just feel like I'm not giving life my best. Or I just feel like I've got more to give. Like there's such a common correlation between experiencing a sabotaging behavior, and I also know that I can be doing more. Now in
100%. That's 100% of clients will get there.
Yeah, 100%. Great. We'll go. We very rarely say that, but we can today. I remember, Nat, when I was sitting it was probably my first or second or third coaching session in 2014. Coaching meaning, oh God, I was experiencing alcohol gambling problems, and my mum was like, I was 23 years old. My mum's like, go and speak to this guy. And I'm like, who is he? Who is he?
Tommy.
My mum was like, she's a life coach. And I'm like,
perfect.
Life coach? What the hell is that? And
what is that?
And then I get there, I realize he's not even a life coach. He's an energy medicine healer. Perfect. And I'm like, dude, you're killing me here.
Little young Tommy thrown right into the deep end of a world he would not have known.
Yeah, not at all. But basically the moral of the story was I was going there because I thought I had all of these problems with alcohol and gambling, and my family weren't happy, and my girlfriend at the time wasn't happy, and all these problems. And I think I was like 20 minutes into the conversation. His name's Dave. He wouldn't mind me sharing. His name's Dave. And Dave was just like, Tommy, he said it like this. He goes, Tommy, sounds like you're really just not accessing your potential in not one, but most areas of life.
Yeah, nice.
And I went, sorry? And he goes, well, it just sounds like you're not, it just sounds like you're not tapping into nearly as much potential as you have, whether it's in your career. It sounds like you're not happy in any way, whether it's in your relationship, whether it's in your health and fitness, whether it's in financial stability. Where are you tapping into your potential? And it was the first time that I really did feel seen, heard, validated. And I was just like, that feels so much more true to me, as opposed to you have addictions. Hearing you are not tapping into your potential, that made so much sense in the heat of that moment. And we're 10 years on now, and I've been doing this professionally for over 6, and it just hasn't rung truer. So I'm curious now, like, what's your take on why, when someone's looking to change their relationship with alcohol, when someone is, let's say they're running a business, they've got a family, they've got a lot on their plate, they're often a high performer or high functioning, which means they're doing pretty well in a lot of areas, but they just feel stuck with alcohol and they don't know where to start. Why is it so bloody important to look at it through the lens of potential possibility? And why is it one of our 4 categories that we teach with our private clients, which is potential possibility?
Yeah. First things first is when we talk about the capacity of people, a capacity to do something, to create something, to give something, to be of service, be of value, whatever. We're going to take a big picture here. We're in a consumer culture. We consume a lot. And so we consume all day, every day, really. So first things first is the only reason we can consume so much is because we've got to have other people out there producing things, right? So you've got to, no matter what you consume, you have to be able to produce as well. Otherwise, the entire balance of your life is out. We are here to produce value and consume value, not just consume.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing from a cultural standpoint, is we've got to, as much as we consume, we've got to produce, and everyone can produce because everyone's got innate capacities. So let's take down to the personal level. The innate capacity or the potential of a person is not because it's not for an outcome. It's not to get money. It's not for anyone else. It's the exploration of you is about exploring potentials and capacities and the ability to produce something. Here's why. If you're here sitting this, watching this, and you're a real life human being, you're here because you've got a potential. Every human being is not potential, they're a potential. So everyone's got it. Potential must be expressed not for the sake of, again, security and money. Here's why we do it. If you're given capacities, which you are, everyone's been given capacities. If you don't use them or exercise them, you have to repress that capacity. I know, here's an example for me. Here's a simple one that rings true. I've been gifted the capacity of a really strong lower body. I've got really strong legs. If I don't use that capacity, if I repress that capacity, get lazy with that capacity, my knees hurt, my lower back hurts. I have to execute the strength of my legs because I've been given the capacity to do so. If I don't, it just hurts me. And that goes in every emotional capacities, creative capacities, visionary capacities, strength, any human capacity. If you do not use it, it will turn into suffering. That's the bottom line. That's my long story of if you have a capacity and you do not use it, it turns into suffering. And we don't use it. Yeah, go for it.
Now, when you say capacities, I'm like for our listeners, you're referring to our natural embedded skill sets, strengths.
Yep. Bingo. Strengths.
Areas that come natural to us that don't to others. Like, for example, you say strong legs, and I'm like, my knees are wobbling at the moment. And these are like, I can't sit on this chair.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's important to understand too, right? We all have our capacities, as you call them.
Yes.
We don't all have the same capacities, and that's so important, isn't it? Like, I love it how you just linked it up at the end, which is what we're looking for today, is just to gain the awareness to understand that the gap between suffering and sabotaging behaviors is closing the gap of reaching your peak performance and potential.
Yeah. And the important thing is here, it's not for an outcome. It's to exercise who you are as a person. You have to exercise who you are. If you have a creative capacity, if you have a planning capacity, if you have a nurturing capacity, if you have a compassion capacity, if you have a specific skill set capacity, you have to execute it. It's what you're here to do.
I'm going to share something, Nat, on what you've just said, but we're not going to open up a rabbit hole. But if people like it, they can email us at info@drinklessfeelfresh.com and we'll do the next podcast on it. Yeah.
Yep.
Nat, how do we, and I'm not going to ask the question actually, we need to be willing to express our skills and capacities beyond the role that we're playing.
Yes. Nice.
That's the big key here, isn't it? Which is education. Because when you say it, I think about, and this might come, might even sound a bit sexist, but I think about a lot of where I was and a lot of friends that I've got and a lot of people that I know. Let's say hardworking, breadwinning man understands he's got potential to do so much more than be that, does not tap into it, wonders why he's hardworking, breadwinning man plus consumes alcohol.
Yep. Bingo.
Right.
That's exactly right.
And I've met a lot of and coached and worked with a lot of a lot of beautiful women in the general stereotypical role where it's like incredible capacity to be mother, leader of the family, nurturer, home environment. Who knows, she has so much more potential to give and be outside of that role, but playing in that role.
Yeah. Yes. I'll give you a great example. Like, and here's the crazy thing about this scale is the juicier the capacity, let's say the deeper the capacity or the more complex the skill set, the more it hurts if you don't use it. So the example is if you take a high level, let's go F1 car, like they're designed to perform. The only way you stay alive in an F1 car is you drive it on its edge. You've got to take the corner. It's safer to take the corner at 220 Ks versus 180 Ks. It's safer to go full clip. And that's exactly the same analogy as people. You will hurt yourself by under pushing.
That's such an interesting view on it. You like, just to understand and gain the awareness that a lot of people approaching this conversation like, great, I'm here to change my relationship with alcohol, and then realizing, hang on a second, it's so much more than that. I'm not pushing myself to the limits. I'm not playing to my. The reason why I was kind of like, it was a bit of last minute to do this topic of the podcast, Nat. The reason why I was writing one of our most recent advertisements that's going up, and there's a bit there that says, "Who are Tom and Nat?" for people that never met us. And most people come to us and go, oh, these guys are alcohol reduction specialists. And in that blurb there, I'm writing, Nat and I have nearly 20 years combined experience in personal peak performance and tapping into your potential.
Yeah.
And you know, that really triggered this conversation. To understand that is so important. A lot of people need medical intervention with nothing more than let's make sure we get through 24 hours without alcohol. But that's not what we do. That's not what our listeners are after. They actually just want to perform at a higher level. And that's what I love. It's like, oh, I'm doing really well in most areas of my life, but I also want to give up alcohol. To me, that's like peak performance. It's like, how many things can I get better at in life?
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, what would you, for someone who's really digging the conversation, and I know you got a couple of juicy questions here, you've even asked me from time to time, like for someone who's really sitting in the awareness of like, shit, I know this is it for me. I'm not tapping into my potential. I know I don't deep down have a biological addiction towards alcohol that if I gave it up, I'm going to go into physical convulsions or anything like that. I'm not tapping into my potential. What would be a good starting place or self-inquiry question that they might want to ask themselves to start navigating where and what and how am I supposed to be giving back to the world at a larger level, which is tapping into my potential?
Yes, I think the first things first, just setting up a good foundation for this is that explore these things and remove all the pressure and expectation of an outcome. Like we're just so used to and so conditioned to link potential to outcome, and that shortchanges you in the exploration of potential, because to explore your actual potential, it doesn't happen in a safe place. You can't be safe and be exploring your potential at the same time. You've got to push it. You've got to go. You've got to do something uncomfortable. Uncomfortable and potential is the same conversation. So if you're watching this, the expectation is not to stay safe and comfy and explore. This conversation is about discomfort, because that's where potential is awakened and explored and known and cultivated. You'll have embers and slight knowings of where you fit and what you're good at. The next step is combining that with the acceptance of the unknown. Is literally the ingredients that awakens potential.
Love it, Nat. I'm going to finish with this question. Very short and simple, but so profound, even in this space, 20 years in, right, Nat? When's the last time you did something uncomfortable? When's the last time, like to our listeners, when's the last time you actually did something that challenged you? And not something that you were forced to do, not something the boss said, hey, you got to speak at the meeting, something that you made a choice.
Set out to do it.
You set out to do it for two things. One, because you were curious, and two, because you were a little bit scared. And maybe even three, you were kind of curious on why you were scared. So that pushed you to want to do it as well. That's like something that gets me when I know I'm scared of something. I'm kind of like, oh God, that's why you got something in it for me. So yeah, listeners, viewers, when's the last time you did something to challenge yourself? When's the last time you backed that little voice in your head that said, you know what, sign up at the gym this week. You know what, maybe get down to that youth hostel and see if all the, the kids down there need any donations or anything like that. Like, when's the last time that you
take the yoga class?
Take a yoga class, start a business, get up, go join a networking event. When's the last time you did something that challenged you?
Go on a date.
Go on a date. Or stop dating, depending on what it is.
Stop dating, so wherever you're at.
Yeah, wherever you're at. Like, look at those behaviors that are keeping you sane and repetitive, and just ask you, now, would it be fair to say, like, everybody, when someone asks the question, it's like, oh, I don't know what it is that I want to do. It's like, that is such a lie. Everybody has thoughts that go through their head, usually just before they're falling asleep or when they're lying in bed at 2 a.m. Everybody has these potential obstacles, which are really like potential that they could lean into, right?
Yeah, but here's a fun way to think about it. Remember I heard this a while ago now, that potential is when you're kneading dough, potential is kneaded out of you. It's ground out of you. Doesn't jump out like inspiration. It's kneaded out of you, very gradually massaged out with discomfort.
Sounds so bleak, doesn't it? But it's just the answer.
It's just it can be bleak, I suppose, but it's
yeah it sounds so bleak, but it's just the answer. The reason why I say that, Nat, is like, I love that we don't, like, something that we don't like to do here is just give a no fluff approach. Like a lot of positive psychology coaching development companies
take us back to the 90s.
Yeah, you're like, come on, rah everything feels good, addiction's not bad. Let's do it. Like, this is just it. Here's the end message for everybody that's listening. You do not need to search for any more reasons on why you're drinking. You don't need to search for any more reasons on why you may be addicted. You don't need to search for any more reasons why you're experiencing a challenge and obstacle, because you know the biggest one that we've shared with you today, which is, at the end of the day, if you are not tapping into your ultimate level of potential, you are going to have to run sabotaging behaviors. The reason why you run sabotaging behaviors is so then you have a reason on why you're not tapping into, or you can't tap into, your potential. And that's where traditional addiction or sabotaging behaviors actually just become excuses. So I hope that ruffles some feathers, but I hope it sits well with you. If you're looking to drink less, feel fresh, if you're looking to change your relationship with alcohol, it's time you start stepping up and tapping it into your full potential. And if you can do that, Nat and I will back it 100%.
We'll back it
that you will start changing your relationship with alcohol, not only sooner than you thought possible, but much easier than you thought possible.
Can I say one last thing, Tom?
Yeah.
Team, the conversation about getting uncomfortable with potential, I suppose it's got a romantic flavor and it feels big. It's not big at all. Let's make this really easy. We've watched clients weekly do what they call small actions. I'll give you an example. We had a client that took herself to see the sunflowers. Right, took herself to see sunflowers. That action in the context of her life was courageous. It revealed to her so much about herself and her social life and her own potential by going to see sunflowers. We're not talking big things here. We're just talking things that you can execute that you wouldn't normally do. That's one little knead of the dough, and bang, you get a little piece. Like, it's not. We're not talking big stuff here.
Yeah, I think it was the same week when one of our other members, Nat, actually shared, I was in the coffee line the other day and a thought came to mind of, I should buy that lady in front of me a coffee.
Yeah.
And she said, and then I bought her the coffee. And the message, the message of the story was like,
courageous.
I've never done that before,
Yeah,
but I've thought
courageous.
about it probably 100 times.
Yeah.
That's it, team. Start listening to the inner voice. I'm glad you said that, Nat. It doesn't have to be this big,
Simple.
extravagant, wow, I'm going to sell my business and start, you know, give it all up. Start with the little things and notice what happens. Nat and I absolutely love this topic. It's what we specialize in and do best, which is peak performance potential.
It is a favorite one of mine. It is a favorite one of mine.
So if you're loving it, you're liking it. Yeah, it's the best. Send us an email, info@drinklessfeelfresh.com. Let us know what you loved and liked. But more importantly, if you had any questions or you would like to ask a couple of questions on this topic and your personal experience, send me a little bit of a blurb about yourself, what you're experiencing, and your question. And Nat and I will guarantee that we'll put it into one of the upcoming podcasts. So you can email info@drinklessfeelfresh.com and we'll add it to the next podcast. Here's drinking less and feeling fresh. Here's changing our relationship with alcohol. Here's living with more choice and freedom. Big love. Have a great Monday. See you next week. Same time, same place.